Good morning, Cowboy Jim. I went to work yesterday, had a wonderful day. What a joy to run a haul truck in a mine with a bunch of people who seem to enjoy running truck about as much as I do. It's quite a lot. What a pleasure, what a privilege, what an honor to have a job. And today I'm off. Hopefully I'm back tomorrow. And so I thought, oh my, what do I do with my time? Well, I can sit and worry about tomorrow. Worry about things that I can't change. Or I can suck it up and enjoy the day. So I was kind of curious. What story would I talk about today? And I thought, well, I'm pretty sure I know. Several years ago, 1987 to be exact. Listen, we have been working the 80s over pretty hard. And I'm pretty sure we have 44 videos on. I thought I only had 30. I couldn't understand. I mean, I kept just doing a video after video. And I would hit the little buttons and there'd only be 30 of them come up. And then I saw some configuration near the bottom of the screen on the right side. And I thought I'd just touch it. Well, I mean, 30 came up, and then 10, and then 50. I hit 50. I have 44 videos. That's unbelievable. Because it's only scraping the surface, scratching the surface. I'm still in the 80s. I have the 70s yet to go. I've quite a bit from the 60s. Well, 90s were pretty entertaining. I mean, I did a few from the 90s. You know, My Lost Son, My Son's Miracle. People don't know what to do with me. They kind of just want to walk away. I don't blame them. So here, let's throw some more fodder. Let's throw some more wood on the fire. Many years ago, there are about 3 stories leading up to this one, and it's all to do with the same one, but we can't have a 4-hour video. Well, we could, but it would be kind of a waste. I'll stretch them out a bit. I lived at the old Overpass. I had a little cabinet shop, about 28 by 40 or something. It wasn't big, not like the one at the ranch. Oh my goodness! And I headed over to the cabinet shop. And I got my hand on the doorknob and I went to open it, and I heard a still, small, quiet voice. Quite frankly, I don't care if you don't believe when I say God can talk to you, because in your mind's eye, God's probably a block of wood off in a corner over there somewhere, and you talk to him. It's called praying, and you don't ever expect him to answer. Well, that's not how I do things. So I grabbed the doorknob and I went to open it, and I heard that still, small, quiet voice said, call the Department of Highways. Ask them to buy the front off your 5-acre acreage. I said, you're kidding? He said, no. I said, sure. So I turned around and headed back to the house, and I thought, who would I call? The Department of Highways. I thought, well, hey, might as well start at the top. Gretzky was up here in Edmonton, so This is where the action is going on back then. And so I called the Department of Highways in Edmonton. They said, phone the Department of Highways in Calgary. They said, phone the Department of Highways in Airdrie. Well, they kept giving me the numbers. I just kept calling. I got a man, a Dutchman. Oh, did he ever swear? A lot. And he said, I said, listen, I'm given to understand that you may well be interested in buying some land off the front of my acreage here. I'm half a mile north of the old Overpass on the west side of the highway. He said, yes, I am. I thought, you're kidding. We have to verify things. And I said, well, when would you like to do that? He said, well, I'm not supposed to do it for 2 years. I said, well, why? He said, I don't need your land for 2 years. I said, why don't you just come this morning and make me your best offer, and I'll accept it. He said, you can't be that easy to deal with. I said, I'm Irish. I said, I'm pretty easy to get along with. He said, I'll be there at 9 o'clock. I said, I'll have the coffee on. This is about 10 after 8 by now. I phoned Edmonton and Calgary and finally Airdrie. And so I said, well, I look forward to meeting you. He said, well, so do I. Look forward to meeting you. Boy, he swore a lot. You have no idea. I had no idea. Well, I certainly had heard people swear. I think I was well into my 40s before I swore the first time that I remember. It's kind of good to have a memory that doesn't work too well because you forget a lot of things you don't want to remember. Anyways, 9 o'clock, I told my wife at the time, that was the mother of my 2 boys, I said, better clean this little house up. It was almost sitting on the shoulder of the highway at the front of the property. I said, that guy's actually coming to make us an offer on the land. And when I had hung up from talking to that guy, I heard that still small quiet voice again, and it said, accept whatever amount of money that man offers you for the land. And I said, well, that's stupid. I said, you never accept the first offer. But I said, listen, I'll accept that first offer. Out of honor and respect for you, I'd do that. He said, good. So 9 o'clock rolled around. The wife, the mother of my 2 sons, she tidied the house up. I said, guy's going to be here at 9 o'clock. We should have a pot of coffee on for the guy. And well, I saw him drive in, pull in. And I went out and introduced myself. And I don't think he was that impressed. Well, if I introduced myself to myself, I probably wouldn't be that impressed either. Anyways, I said, how much land are you going to buy off the front of our little 5-acre parcel? He said, about 1 acre. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I have to come back, not 100 feet, but it was a chunk. It was a little double-car garage that was 127 years old. It was right at the road. A little tiny house, about 900 square foot, nice house. Well built from the 50s or 60s. I mean, it was tiny. And I said, well, that's good. He said, yes. He says, I want to buy back to about here. I said, well, hey, that's cool. And the house was gone then, and a little so on, little garage gone, but we got further back from the highway, and I said, well, the coffee's on. He said, well, listen, I'm going to wander around, take a look. He says, I'll come and give you my best offer. I said, well, I'll accept it. He did this sort of thing. You're kidding. I said, no. Give me your best offer. I'll accept it. He came in and I poured him a coffee. He sat down and I said, well, what do you think? He said, and he grabbed a plain piece of paper and he wrote on it, $48,500. And he slid it across to me. And I said, that's your offer? He said, yes. I said, well, I accept that. He said, that's stupid. Well, he didn't say it was stupid. He said it was expletive, stupid. I said, well, I told you I'd accept whatever you offered. He said, yes, but people don't do that. I said, well, I told you I would. Well, he said, that's stupid. I said, I'm Irish. He said, I'm buying your house. I said, yes, sir. He said, where are you going to live? I said, you could see out the back window. I said, you see those two granaries there? He said, yes. I said, we're simple folk. We live in there. I can work in my shop, be warm, shoot, we could probably live in the shop. And he said, that's crazy. I said, well, that's what I told you. He said, well, it's still crazy. He said, listen, he grabbed that paper, he stroked that 48,000. You see, I didn't mind 48,000. I'd paid 49.5 for the whole thing, for the 5 acres, the house, the shop, corrals, everything. He was paying me. He was paying me $1,500 less than I'd paid for the whole thing. I thought, that's pretty good. And he said, oh, this is better. He wrote something down. It was close to 57,000. He went from 48 to, I'm not sure. It was quite a difference. And I said, well, we have a problem. I said, I already accepted 48. He said 4. And he went off on an expose of how you should not be using the English language with expletives that... anyways, he said, accept this. It's better. I said, well, okay. He said, listen, I'll go back to the office and I will, he said, I'm not supposed to buy this place for 2 years. But he said, I'll go back to the office because you're so easy to get along with. What he meant was you're stupid. Hey, get over it. I have. And he says, I'll write it up. He said, what do you want me to do with the money? Bring you a check for whatever, how many thousand it was. It was up into the mid-50s, which was more than I'd paid for the whole thing. And by selling him 100 feet off the front or whatever, sure, I was losing the old house and the stupid old garage I never used. And except a friend who worked with me, he had asked, can I use that old garage to store a bunch of building material? He said, I've been collecting a house package for several years. I said, sure, go for it. So he moved stuff into that garage, a complete house package. And so the guy was coming back the next day with everything in writing. And what he asked about, what do you want me to do with the money? I said, well, the first thing you have to do is pay our mortgage off. I said, wonderful. Irishman had told me he would hold the mortgage on the property that he was selling to us. We had to put 10 grand down. But he said, if you miss one mortgage payment, he said, I'll foreclose and kick you off. I said, okay. I just was glad that he was willing to hold the mortgage. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to, not in a hope. And so I said, pay that mortgage off. He said, well, there's not going to be much left. I said, well, whatever. He said, I don't understand. He said, you're not going to have any place to live. I said, that's okay. The place will be paid. We won't be at risk of losing it. We'll make do. He said, he didn't understand. Well, who understands an Irishman who trusts in God completely? Well, I don't even understand myself. And so he left. He's coming back the next day. And I watched him drive away. I said to the Lord, I need a stock trailer. Haul my horses around, take them to the mountains. I said to the Lord, I know a friend of mine sells trailers. And I said, it'd be kind of nice, if you could get that man to increase his offer to cover the cost of buying a stock trailer. That's all I said. That Flying Dutchman, he came back the next day, and he came in and sat down. I bought him a coffee, and he says, "Oh, there you have it." I looked at it. $63,700. I said, well, we have a problem. Oh, he says, don't do this. I said, well, I accepted 48, and I accepted the other. Oh, he says, accept this. I said, sure. I'll be glad to. So we signed a paper. He said, I'm going to go back to the office, and we'll write out the check, and we'll pay your mortgage off, and we'll send you the balance. I said, that sounds good to me. I said, what are you going to do with this old house? Well, he said, I'm going to bulldoze it. I said, when are you going to bulldoze it? He said, 2 years. I said, would you be offended if we lived here rather than moving back to the granaries right away? He said, of course not. But he said, if I need this land, if the road construction, they were widening Highway 2, well, they hadn't even come near our place. I think I was the first property owner who sold to the Department of Highways down the Blessed Highway. And he said, you can live here. I said, you're kidding. He said, no. Just move out when I tell you to. I said, well, hey, I'm good with that. He said, good. If you don't move out, he says, I'm going to run a dozer right through the place. I said, hey, I understand. And I'm kind of looking at him, and I'm looking around. I said, listen, what are you going to do with this old house? Well, he said, we're going to bulldoze it. I said, well, would you be offended if I could move this house further back onto the land, and I could put a basement under it, and it'd be a nice little house for us to live in, better than the granaries. He said, well, okay, it's yours. I said, let's clarify that. I said, he clarified. Verbose. I thought the Irish had a corner on talking. Oh, the Dutchman, he had a corner on not normal English language. And he said, I don't care what you do with the house. I'm giving it to you. Cheers. Well, 3 weeks later, our mortgage was paid off. A little check came in the mail. Well, it was quite a check. I mean, the difference between, I think the mortgage was $38,000 or something like that. So the difference between the $38,000 and the 67 or 63 or whatever, a long time. Anyways, he left, promise of paying real quickly, and my dad drove in from Ontario. Well, he and I didn't always see eye to eye, because my job, even as a 7-year-old, was to nurture and care for my mother. And I did. Well, I'm not going to tell you anything about that, because my dad changed as he got older, and he got his heart right with the Lord. I'm glad he did, and my mom was glad he did, and he did change, and he became a better man. So my dad, he came in, we had our coffee, had to have coffee. Didn't drink anything else, I guarantee you that. Milk and coffee. I told him what was going on. He said, it's unbelievable. I said, it is unbelievable. But I said, that's what's happening. He said, what did you do about the stock trailer? Well, I said, I haven't called my friend yet. I said, I should. So, and I thought about it, and I thought, the first offer was 48 something. What? Well, I'm not sure. It was 48. The next one was well into the 50s. And so I phoned my friend. I said, I would like to get a stock trailer. I said, fifth wheel. Stock trailer, because horse trailers are too expensive. They're about $8,000 more than a stock trailer. They're enclosed. Well, anyways. I said, what's the best trailer to buy? He said, don't buy a 16. Well, 16's pretty big. He said, buy a 20 foot, because they're better resale value. I said, well, how much are they? He said, $6,700. I said, you're kidding. Just happened to be the exact amount of money that was between the second offer and the final offer. Exactly. Exactly. And, well, I said, okay, let's order a 20-footer. He said, what color do you want it? I said, I never thought of that. I said, what's the best color? He said, most popular is charcoal gray. I said, well, that sounds good. He said, you have to bring me a $1,000 deposit. And he said, I'll order it, and it'll be ready in 3 weeks. So I thought, hey, that's the same amount of time that the guy's going to take to bring us the check, the difference between the mortgage, which he is paying off, and so on and so on. My dad, he is sitting across from me, and I do know that he bought me a piece of cherry pie and ice cream when he and I went to look at guns, used ones, Elwood-Epp, Araya, Ontario. At the time I lived at Wasaga Beach, on Georgian Bay. That was the only thing I ever remembered my dad buying for me. Cherry pie, ice cream, still my favorite. I really like it. Then I realized, as time went by and I stopped being so aggressive towards him. He started being nice to my mom, nicer. He actually bought me a few horses. The one horse, when I look back on it, I thought, what were you doing, trying to get me killed? He met me halfway home from school, leading that horse. It was a cold day. He said, this is a stallion. I said, I see that. It's kind of like a male dog. It's kind of evidential. He said, your hands cold? I said, yeah, they are kind of. I was 10. Might have been 11. He said, well, just put your hands up in there between his legs and put your hand around that scrotum, and that will warm your hand up. Well, it's just a blessed wonder the horse didn't kick me half to death. But it did warm my hands. And so anyways, my dad said, you need $1,000 to order your trailer? I said, I do. He said, well, that's kind of funny. I said, why? He reached in his shirt pocket and pulled out 10 $100 bills. He said, let's go order that trailer. Cherry pie, ice cream, hand warmer, tucked up between two really big, powerful legs on a horse. We went up and we ordered the trailer. My dad paid the down payment. Land deal went through, and I will never forget walking up to that door of the cabinet shop that morning, grabbing the doorknob, and the Lord saying, phone the Department of Highways. No one in their right mind would believe that. I don't care. I know he did it. I know I did it. I know the land was paid off. Oh, hey. 8 years later, so everything went to hell. Wonderful mother of my 2 children rode off into the sunset. I wasn't riding beside her. It's her choice. Before they left, we 3 were sitting in the living room one evening, and I was fully apprised as to what was going to take place, and I thought, Father, I don't want to hold someone to a commitment that they don't want to hold to themselves. I thought, Father, I got up and I walked over to the cupboards that I'd built in the house that I'd built, and I took the biggest bowl, stainless steel. It was the one I used for making tapioca pudding. When I made tapioca pudding, children, that's all we had for supper. My 2 boys and that lady, and myself. Well, I filled that bowl half full with warm water, sudsy water. I took that over and I set that on the floor in front of them. I went into our bathroom and I got a bath towel. I washed their feet. I gave them my blessing. And they rode off into the sunset together. You may not understand what I just said, what I did, why, how. Well, how you will, because I told you. Why? I was learning what being in love is about. I had the glorious opportunity recently of God and that warrior woman. Together, they are starting to round out my comprehension of what true love is. And no matter where you are at in life, remember this: all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Further, a good book is a book that leaves the reader regretting that they have arrived at the last page. A good storyteller, a wordsmith, which I wanted to be since one of the many years in grade 9 when I read Shakespeare, and I considered what a wordsmith was. It's an individual that takes words and weaves them into a story that you don't want it to end. So I'm going to bring this to a conclusion. I bet there are 6 more stories, videos that are really good, because they're not about me. They're about my God working his will in my life. And it's been a challenge for him, because I've been a pretty balky horse. I don't give the reins, the control of my life, to just anyone. have been learning for many years, that God is the authority in my life. And my motivation is what Jesus Christ said. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. He said, there is no other name given unto man whereby ye must be saved. He said, listen. Jesus said, listen, take my yoke upon you. My burden is light. I can't even begin to understand his burden is light. He suffered, bled, and died on the cross. Gave his life that we may have life. So let's start this. Let's do this because the time's ticking, children. You're going to live until you die. Only you can determine what that means. Only you can determine where you're going to spend eternity. The only way you can do that is that I found in Scripture, not religious, in the Bible, is to say, God, forgive me. I accept that Jesus Christ took my sins upon himself and carried them right to the cross. He was killed, suffered, bled, and died, rose from the dead on the third day. And because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, I have hope. Because God loves, he's teaching me how to love. Warrior woman has taught me the joy of loving. That lady and I, we have not even held hands. I have not brushed my lips to and past hers. If you can't learn to listen to God and haven't taken the time to study his word, haven't chose to believe in Jesus Christ, you're going to get off the trail. You may not be able to find the trail, but all you have to remember is within your heart, get down upon your knees and say, God, I'm sorry. Show me the way. I'm going to tell you a story. Not now. But I'm going to tell you a story. You're going to be shocked. Next thing. Don't children say the strangest things? Yes, they do. You take care of kids. You take care of wounded kids. Last picture. Then we're done. On this, I think of an abused woman. I think of a lady is sitting upon her bum on the floor, knees drawn up, forearms resting on her knees. Face resting upon her forearms. Black hair. Beautiful black hair. Tears. Children don't understand why adults or other kids abuse them. They don't understand. They just weep. Choose who you are going to serve. It's up to you. Only you. God bless. God bless you. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Hey. Thank you. I'm going to shut this off. God bless.